The biggest naval battle the world didn't expect began not with a fleet of warships, but with a $30,000 drone and a $3 million question. Could modern war at sea be won with cheap, relentless numbers? 48 hours later, the U.S. Navy found its answer. For decades, American sailors trained for wars against superpowers. Soviet submarines beneath the Arctic ice, Russian bombers over the Atlantic, Chinese carrier groups rising in the Pacific. But the most brutal naval clash since World War II didn't come from a nation-state. It came from an insurgent militia in Yemen, the Houthis. Once desert fighters with rusted rifles and pickup trucks, they had evolved into a hybrid, tech-enabled force. With Iranian backing, they built a low-cost arsenal of one-way drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and naval drones. Each weapon was cheap, disposable, and deadly. The Red Sea, once a trade route, had become the proving ground for a new kind of war. The calm before the storm. March 16, 2025. 50 nautical miles off Yemen's coast. The USS Harry S. Truman carrier strike group moved through calm waters under a fading sun. The formation was textbook. The cruiser, Gettysburg forward. Destroyers Stout and Jason Dunham on the flanks. Their SPY-1 radars sweeping the horizon. They'd faced scattered drone attacks before, but nothing like what was coming. At 1700 hours, radar screens lit up with fast-moving contacts. Some high, some low, all inbound. Within seconds, the Aegis combat system analyzed the chaos. Multiple threats, multiple altitudes, all converging on the carrier group. The first wave, ballistic missiles and drones. The Houthis had launched their largest strike yet, ASF anti-ship ballistic missiles from the stratosphere, diving at over Mach 3, and a swarm of 11 Shahed 136 drones skimming the water just a few hundred feet above the surface. The tactic was ruthless. Fast ballistic missiles overloaded the sensors, while the slow drones crept through the confusion. Aboard Gettysburg, the order came fast. Launch SM-6 interceptors. Engage ballistic tracks. Vertical launch cells erupted. 3 SM-6s screamed upward, meeting the falling missiles head-on. High above, the sky flashed white. Intercepts confirmed. From Truman's deck, 2 FA-18 Super Hornets launched into the dusk, their radars locking onto the Shahed swarm. Sidewinder missiles cut across the sky, each worth $500,000, each killing a drone that cost a fraction of that. Within minutes, the first wave was shattered. But even as debris fell, new radar signatures appeared, slower, broader, deadlier. The second wave, cruise missiles on the horizon. A dozen Al-Mandab 2 cruise missiles, Iranian-designed, Yemeni-modified, rose from coastal trucks and hidden launchers. Flying barely above the sea, their seekers stayed silent until the final seconds. They came from 3 directions at once, forcing the fleet to fight 360 degrees of danger. The solution? Connect everything. Cooperative Engagement Capability, CEC, linked every ship's sensors and weapons into one network. One radar could see for all. One ship could fire for another. When Stout picked up a low-flying contact, Jason Dunham fired the shot. An SM-2 guided entirely by data flowing across the net. Missiles streaked skyward, their trails carving bright scars into the evening. Explosions flashed like distant lightning. Wave after wave of cruise missiles obliterated mid-air, but a few still broke through. USS Stout, closest to shore, turned bow on to face the survivors. CIWS, automatic, engage! The phalanx guns spun up, a 20mm Gatling firing 4,500 rounds per minute. White tracers tore through the night. One missile exploded mid-air, Another broke apart just yards from the hull. Then came the final trick. Super rapid bloom chaff canisters fired into the wind, bursting into glittering clouds of foil. The enemy missiles locked onto the decoys and plunged harmlessly into the sea. Moments later, silence returned. The Red Sea was calm again. The Truman Strike Group survived, but at staggering cost. Tens of millions spent to stop weapons worth thousands. A $6 million SM-6 to kill a $40,000 drone. A $3 million SM-2 to stop a $70,000 missile. It wasn't a fair fight, just a costly one. And behind the Houthis' launches, U.S. intelligence traced digital fingerprints, Russian and Chinese code, shared guidance data, a proxy war unfolding beneath the radar. For the sailors aboard Truman, the quiet felt temporary. The ocean had changed forever. A battlefield of sensors, swarms, and algorithms where milliseconds decide survival. The Red Sea proved a truth no navy can ignore. The next war won't be won by the biggest fleet, but by the fastest network. The force that can think, share, and strike first. And as dawn broke over calm waters, one question remained. When the next swarm comes, will we be ready?